Welcome in, everybody, to this week's edition of the Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Adam the Jock Strozinski. On today's show, Mariah May has a new WWE name. We'll see what's thumbs up, thumbs down. We'll talk about it. Eddie Kingston and Zoe Stark injury news update and contract info for wrestlers, as well as the fallout from Money in the Bank and where that sends us on Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown, as well as AEW giving us another 4-hour television program. A lot to digest there. Help me break it all down, sort it all out, and digest all of that. He's the one. He's the only. He is the Doc, John Macaroon. What's up, cuz?
So much to get into. Big week. I think WWE is hitting a little bit of their stride creatively. Now, we're going to talk about whether the Doc likes it. But in the end, Money in the Bank, what they're headed towards in regards to the Saudi show, the programming that they had this week, I thought was really interesting and intriguing. A lot to talk about, which is good. I love it because when you wake up early, you get excited. And I think this week of wrestling provided a lot of content, a lot of ideas to be able to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just jump right into Money in the Bank because that was the big thing that took place last weekend and kind of spilled over into this week. So kick the show off with the women's Money in the Bank match. Naomi ends up winning the Money in the Bank match, which I was surprised. I was shocked that she won. I did not anticipate her winning. I think when we kind of gave our odds, she was somewhere in the middle, maybe the lower third for people who we thought would win this match. How shocked were you that she actually was able to scale the ladder and come down with the briefcase?
Yeah, when you look at it, based on our prediction of the guys' Money in the Bank, many people felt like, okay, it's overwhelmingly going to be Seth Rollins. So they needed probably a surprise for the women, more of an up and comer. So it makes sense. Yeah, I was shocked when they actually did it. That's what I'm saying is that creatively smart. I just didn't like it. I just personally felt like Alexa Bliss or others could have benefited from it. Look, it's interesting because of the way Naomi's been booked. It's good now because now she's going to probably benefit the most from having it. But I just don't feel like the work that her character has done. Yeah, it's been great, but in the end, it kind of has always felt like she's been behind Bianca Belair, behind Jade Cargill, and now they've made the decision to put her out in front. Well, you spent a lot of time kind of making us feel like she's not as good as everybody else, but now you're pushing forward. So I'm curious to see because when she left to go to TNA, she started to elevate her brand. So now I want to see what she does with it because her as a world champion can be interesting, but she's got to be more, kind of highlighted in regards to creatively. So I thought that in the end, it works out to be a good decision.
Yeah, here's the thing. If she can find whatever that magic was when she went to TNA and she can bring that into WWE and they allow her to do those types of things, I feel like it will work out. But you're right. The work that she's done leading up to this point, it almost feels like she wasn't the best pick for this. Like you said, Alexa Bliss is there now. Alexa Bliss is in the Queen of the Ring, so maybe that's where the offset is. Maybe you have Naomi win Money in the Bank, Alexa Bliss wins Queen of the Ring, and maybe that kind of helps justify everything in nature when it's all said and done. But there were other people in that match, right? Like Rhea Ripley was the astounding favorite. Alexa Bliss was right behind her. You had like my pick. I wanted Julia to win it. Like when it was all said and done, I wanted Julia to win it. You had Stephanie Vacour who was in there as well. Like, these are two young rising stars you could have done something with. Now you've got Julia in this feud with Selena Vega for the U.S. title, so it gives them something to do. But I felt like it could have been a little bit more impactful. We'll see where this goes. I don't know if she was necessarily the right choice, but if she can find a way to elevate herself and elevate her brand like she did when she was in TNA, this could all work out perfectly. I think the big star coming out of this match, though, the one who was the big highlight was Roxanne Perez. I think she had that outstanding performance. It was very similar to what you got from Chelsea Green a couple of years ago, if not last year. My timelines are all a little bit mixed up. Everything kind of blends together. But she was the one who I felt really kind of glued this match together, and it was her high spots that were really the thing that stuck out. What did you think of Roxanne Perez in this match?
Yeah, you could have also went with Roxanne Perez being the true underdog. Man, she's got something, man. And you can see why Booker T and the whole NXT world was definitely fond of her because I think she might be the one to break through from the NXT women to be able to say, okay, she stood on her feet. And because a lot, like I said, right now, the hit rate has not been great in regards to call ups. But I think Roxanne Perez has a good chance to put a staple on her career and be around for a long, long time.
Next, we had an impromptu match. It was Dominic Mysterio defeating Octagon Jr. This kind of was the story of the night. If you watched any of the AAA WWE stuff, it was a lot of WWE guys going over very established AAA guys. That's kind of what this was, a WWE guy going over an established AAA guy. Next, we had Becky Lynch defeating Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. After the match, Lyra lays out Becky Lynch as Becky Lynch kind of took things a little bit too far. Remember, the stipulation was if Becky Lynch ends up defeating Lyra Valkyria, Lyra has to raise her hand in victory. Becky then required her to put the belt around her waist. Lyra thinks it's too much, lays her out, and I think this is going to continue that feud. This is something we kind of touched on a little bit last week. I felt it was important for Becky to get the win here because it would set them up for a blow off match down the road, whether that be at SummerSlam, whether it be at Night of Champions, whether it be at King and Queen of the Ring, wherever it's going to be, that helps kick this ball down the road because now they're evened up at one apiece. And this adds a little bit more fuel. We'll see what Lyra looks like doing the chase to Becky. Again, trying to give her more runway because I all of a sudden towards the beginning of this match, I got a little bit more interested, whereas I was not very interested in Lyra before. I know this went opposite of what you thought, but looking in hindsight, does this make sense to you, or do you wish Lyra would have won it so we could move on to something else?
No, I get the premise of a baby face doing the chasing, but in the end, to me, I view it as this is one of those deals where, yeah, creatively, I see where Becky is someone that's worthy of a title, but it just the Intercontinental title does nothing for Becky Lynch. I mean,
Yeah.
she doesn't elevate her, doesn't make the title any better. I felt like you would have done so much better to have Becky put the belt on. Put the belt on Lyra. That would have been interesting. I felt like, for character development, okay, right now, do you really believe that now, based on what just happened, that Lyra can then get on the level of Becky? Yeah, they're trying to give her the rub, but I felt like a win over Becky Lynch solidifies Lyra as the Intercontinental Champion. And now WWE is starting to do the thing where, okay, it's not predictable when people are going to lose their belts, but nobody outside of the world champions are getting the belt more than like 180 days. So it's like a 5 month window where you get like 150 days, you get a couple stories, and they keep it moving. So they're recycling it quite a bit. And I just felt like Lyra would have been a nice champion to give a good 7, 8 month, 9 month run to. I do think that the chase is great, but there's a value when you get the title to winning it. It kind of solidifies you as a character, as a performer. And I felt like Becky Lynch is a made person. And I get it that you're trying to tell this story with Lyra and keep it moving and things like that. But I feel like the title kind of in this storyline is irrelevant. Like Lyra, for her, it would benefit greatly from having it around her waist. It kind of feels like Becky is doing less than to be in this kind of feud. You know what I mean? She's a main event kind of person. She's transitioning now to different kind of feuds, but I just don't feel like okay, the Intercontinental title on the women's side has a lot of whole meaning or specialness because they keep flipping the belts quite a bit. And I feel like you had a star in making in Lyra if you give her some chances to win some matches.
Yeah, and look, I think your synopsis of Becky Lynch is spot on, right? I don't feel like this next necessarily does anything for her, and I don't know if she's necessarily doing anything for this championship or this title. I feel like this is a bit of a step back for her, right? She is a main event person at certain points in this company. She has been the top woman. She has been the one that has held up the entire women's division, and she has carried it. Her being an intercontinental champion, it really hasn't done anything for the belt to give it more validity, and it really hasn't done anything. She hasn't really done anything to help elevate herself since she's come back. She's been gone for what was it? Felt like a year. She was gone for so long. and it kind of felt like everything kind of moved on past her, and then she kind of came back where she was, and now I feel like she's trying to play catch up, and I just don't know if that's necessarily working out. So it will be interesting to see if in the end that championship does get elevated, if Lyra does get a bit of a rub, and if Becky Lynch is able to get herself out of what I'm going to deem a lower end of the mid card right now, because I don't even feel like she's at the high end. Even though she has that championship, I still don't feel like she's at the high end of the mid card. She seems very low mid card to me right now. When she comes on, I kind of give her the respect and I sit there and I pay attention, but like when it's all done, I'm like, wow, that was a waste of my time. So we'll see where this goes. After this match, we had Becky Lynch's husband competing in the men's Money in the Bank match. He ends up going on to win it. Seth Rollins is now your new men's Money in the Bank winner. I think the big thing coming out of this match was I thought it was a great match. Thought it was a lot of fun. I think the big thing coming out of this match was you really did get to see another side of Solo Sikoa. We've talked about him being a little bit of a cardboard box and how Jacob Fatu has really upstaged him. I feel like in this match, and I'm giving this a big thumbs up, and I want to get your take. I feel like in this match, him mocking everybody else, him doing everybody else's stuff. You know, he sat there, he walked like Penta. He sat there and did LA Knight stuff. He mocked a lot of the other competitors in the ring with him, and he showed some of that fun side. He showed some fun when he was in the ring. It's something we really haven't seen from Solo. Remember when Solo was in the original Bloodline, he was the quiet assassin. He was the heavy. He was there to take guys out. Never really smiled. Even when they were saying Usi, he was the dude who had a straight face. You got to see a little bit of something different there. And then as he goes up to get the belt, to get the briefcase, Jacob Fatu then turns on Solo Sikoa, screaming, "I hate you, Solo," and costs him Money in the Bank. I thought this was a fantastic way to wrap up where they were at and help elevate this to the next stage. I wanted to get your thoughts. So, what did you think of Solo and some of his breaking character a little bit, having a little bit of fun in the ring, showing a different side? And then, what did you think of Jacob Fatu turning on Solo in the men's Money in the Bank match, costing him the champ, or costing him the briefcase?
Yeah, no doubt. I thought it was great. I thought that Solo having the chance to win and then Jacob coming out and turning, it made the show, it made the night, and many people were interested in it. A lot of people, though, I'm interested because a lot of people felt like LA Knight should have won it. Like he was the guy that's kind of been on the ascension in that Money in the Bank world. And look, I get Seth Rollins needs something, needs more of an attention for when the story needs to be told. But LA Knight would have been an interesting other character to be able to elevate, and that's good for him because people were genuinely disappointed. They felt like he was a guy that kind of has risen to the part where he needs that Money in the Bank to be able to kind of utilize that. And I think it would have been nice. But Seth Rollins is fine. I have no problem with it. I thought the match was great. Everybody got their stuff in. It was definitely chaotic, but Fatu's the man. I thought that, it's kind of a gimmicky WWE thing where he's like, "I hate you, Solo." I don't even think Jacob Fatu needs to talk. He just needs to go out there and do business. But with what they did on
You want to hear him
SmackDown,
go, "Yeah, I mean."
yeah, exactly.
You
Or
wanna hear
or
that?
or or he's got to just yell out Fatu. That's all you got to do, man. The guy's just over because of his look and everything. But yeah, this storyline tells itself and it's very good, rewarding men's Money in the Bank. And I just thought that, man, these guys were crazy. It was a good match, and both Money in the Bank matches were definitely interesting. Now, the one thing that's funny is that everybody's talking about it. They now brand the ladders, which is like, oh man,
Yeah,
we saw in the
yeah.
background. It's like,
Dude, any place you could put marketing, they're putting marketing, and that's very TKO. Apparently,
yeah,
that's
very.
TKO's rule. But yes, brand fireball for the ladders. What are we doing, guys?
It's interesting to make it orange. I get it. It's unique. They teased it in the back earlier in the night, and people understood that there could be a branded ladder. But I'm curious to see moving forward how they progress with it. What are they willing to do? Because I love the I don't know if you saw it online. Someone put what's next is they're gonna start doing advertisements on shirts, and they had Roman Reigns. Someone did a Photoshop of dude wipes. uh, Roman with a dude wipes shirt. It's very funny. But
Dude, I wanted to ask you because you brought this up. I think I think this wasn't on the rundown, but I think this is a fantastic thing that you brought up. I want to get your sense. When is too much too much?
yeah,
Because I feel like putting the advertisement on the ring, that's a bit much. I feel like advertisement everywhere we look. With TK, with now them being under TKO, you can tell TKO is squeezing every dollar bill out of WWE that it can squeeze, and it has marketing everywhere, on the ladders, on the ring. Like you said, I do you remember when I think it was Brock Lesnar? Brock Lesnar came out and he fought in the UFC shorts, and those had advertisement on them. And I remember early on when Brock Lesnar would fight, it was fine. There became a point later on where I think WWE, because they didn't really work with those people, they had to make some changes. And I think later on there were changes to Brock Lesnar's shorts. I think at one point he had Snickers on his short. He was getting advertisement from Snickers. I could see this happening. I could see us going to a place where what we've got in sports right now, where you've got hockey teams with marketing on their helmets and on their shoulder patches, and almost like if you ever watched any European hockey, they have jerseys that are covered in advertisement, and the logo is small and in the middle, and it just makes up more ad space. I could see wrestlers wrestling with advertisement on their tights as a way for TKO and WWE to make more money. At this moment in time, I think we have approached too much. I do not personally like it. I don't like the advertisement in the middle of the ring. I don't like the prime bottles on the side of the ring unless people are using them or getting thrown into them. I don't see the point of it. I feel like we are at that point now, and I feel like we just got started.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about money, it's commercialization, but when it gets to the ring, it's a little jarring because we're not used to seeing it. I'm glad they kind of scaled back on Raw a little bit with the W and at times, but yeah, it's just commercial. It's how much is too much. I mean, the company's printing money, but in the end, if someone's going to pay you money to put, you know, the one thing I don't want to see is them tarnish the championship belts. Like I don't want to see the IC belt presented by Snickers. You know what I mean? I don't want them to go into the sanctity of the outfits and things like that. I don't need Rhea Ripley's attire, sponsored by some company or anything like that. I
Brought
don't
to you by Octagon on Sirius XM.
exactly. None of that's needed. I just think that it's fun. I get it. I get what they're trying to do, and it's part of the deal. But definitely, yeah, like we said, it was a little jarring at first when he pulled out the ladder, and there it is, branding a fireball ladder. Oh man, it's wild stuff. But that's where they're going.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I said Octagon, I meant Octane, but
Hmm.
whatever. If you listen to Sirius XM, Octane's like
Yeah.
more like alternative metal. So whatever. I'm an idiot. All right, so that brings us to our main event. Let's move on. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso taking on John Cena and Logan Paul. In the end, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso win, but they win as John Cena uses the belt on Cody Rhodes, but then John Cena gets taken out by a returning R-Truth, also known as Ron Killings. That was his TNA name. That was the name that really his indie name. It's what if you've ever watched any of Ron Killings in TNA, if you haven't, please go back and do. He was incredible in TNA. He was absolutely incredible. They brought him into WWE and they turned him into a comedic character. I don't know how well this is going to work, the Ron Killings, because our truth was so beloved. Ron Killings is a little bit more edgy. He's if you remember Swerve Strickland, but amped up. He was kind of this mix between Swerve Strickland and New Jack from ECW. So I don't know how this is going to fly with the WWE universe because it's going to be a very different iteration of our truth. But Ron Killings saves Cody and he's back in WWE. Um, the name change came about because it was agreed that when the new deal with the company ended, he will have time on his WWE television under the name of Ron Killings, so he can use that name when he hits the indies and other appearances. It was reporting that this was kind of the meeting in the middle between WWE and Killings. It sounds like there was a bit of a negotiation with with the contract to get him back in WWE. It sounds like Nick Khan was very influential in that because it doesn't sound like our truth was very happy with the way things went down with him in WWE, and he wanted a little bit more. This, I think, was a very smart business move by him because this helps him elevate. Again, Ron Killings does a lot of different music. He raps, so this helps him sell some of his rap music. This also, when he does his indie shows, it's a WWE name. It carries more weight. You can market yourself more and you can charge more money when you go do your indie shows. So I think this was an incredibly intelligent move by Ron Killings. Also, he doesn't have to play R-Truth anymore. He can play a serious character. You can also do something weird where he's R-Truth or he's Ron Killings. He has like a break where he's got split personalities. It'll be interesting to see what they do. What were your thoughts? There's a lot we've got to get into surrounding specifically this match because of what it meant for Monday night and what it meant for Friday night on SmackDown. But I want to get your thoughts on Ron Killings coming back, attacking John Cena, and is no longer R-Truth. He is now Ron Killings. And we had a segment on Monday Night Raw where he came out, cut his hair, grabbed a mic, and did it all on top of the announcer's desk, and basically said the truth has set him free, and he is now Ron Killings. And it seems like the fans were a little, like I said, a little taken aback, but they embraced him. Again, I want to get your thoughts on him showing up at this match, and then kind of does Ron Killings actually work? Does this hold? Is this embraced like R-Truth was embraced?
Yeah, look, when 22 million people see your tweet, the crowd was chanting on Friday night before Money in the Bank. John Cena had to address it. Look. In the end, when you impact the locker room and you upset the apple cart, whether you believe, the big debate was it a work or a shoot, and Ron Killings kind of set the record straight, and his son said, "Look, here is the problem." Triple H said, "Look, man, he had a chance to answer it. I thought he gave a bad answer. Like, just
He
answer
gave
the
a
question."
horrible answer. He
Yeah,
does horrible in those press
yeah.
conferences. He does absolute shit.
I do think that he wanted to keep it going or keep the discussion, but I just felt like, in that sense, you could have been like, man, the WWE universe is a powerful force. We always know, but in the end, I do think that he was probably taken aback because he was in the decision making, partly in regards to, hey, this is the number that we want to see you at, and if Nick Khan's doing some negotiating, look, it's one of those deals where it's nothing personal. I do think Ron Killings understood what was going on. He understood what he was doing because he wasn't released. His contract was just going to expire. They didn't come to a new deal by all the reports. So, and the man is north of 50. But I do think that he leveraged himself perfectly to say, look, I got this attention. I don't want to be the same clown anymore. I want to be serious. I want to be a character. I think everybody said it's time for you to kind of step out from that and do something else. And he leveraged himself perfectly by going to other companies and getting ideas of what he could do and stuff. So I thought it was absolutely perfect to leverage the momentum that was built. And look, they upset the apple cart in the locker room. The universe is one thing, but the locker room was devastated by that kind of news because R-Truth is a staple there. Then and they felt like, all right, when members of the roster are talking and chirping and saying, hey, now this makes me feel like my spot's not safe, or you upset the morale of the company, done deal. You got to change it. And I just thought that it didn't make a difference to me whether it was really truly a work or a shoot. I just thought right away, that was the first tweet I posted was, look, this guy is so popular. I see the buzz. It was so common sense that the WWE universe is gonna. My tweet was simple. It was the crowd's gonna take over some shows. All will be right. I didn't have a feeling that R-Truth was just gonna go away based on what was happening. It was simple. It felt like, okay, the world corrected itself from the corporate kind of inappropriate way to treat an employee. WWE Universe got John Cena to address it. I think everybody, Cody Rhodes probably messaged Triple H and said, dog," and everyone, it's unwritten. You don't have to say it. They know it. Okay, yeah, we messed up. They were going to have a "We Want Truth" revolution, and so it was great to see him when he came out. And the good thing is, everybody popped. It was great. Everybody loved it. It's a great moment. It allows Ron Killings to actually have a nice little run here where you can see he's a badass. And then what he did on Raw was amazing to get everybody buzzing and talking. It's a new character. So I thought it was great all the way around to do it. It was great. And then Logan Paul, I just thought had a couple missteps in the ring in terms of getting on the rope there and pausing and then trying the buckshot lariat, but stumbling. So he kind of was. And again, I don't need all that drone action nonsense that he's trying to do. I get it; it's different angles, and you're trying to create moments, but you're doing the same thing now twice. I don't need all that. I thought that the move off the top rope was cool. It's neat. It's a unique situation, but now you're trying to do a little bit too gimmicky. You got to perfect your craft in the ring first and foremost. But I thought Jey Uso handled it perfectly when Logan stumbled. He got a super kick in. Um, it was a good finishing match. I thought that okay for having our Truth interrupt John Cena. I thought it was great. I thought it worked out pretty well for the main event of Money in the Bank. And look, WWE Universe is powerful, and you don't treat longtime wrestlers that way. And he got a chance to leverage himself by getting a contract that he probably felt very comfortable with. But Triple H, yeah, I thought he could have just said, "Look, man, the universe is powerful," and he could have said both. He said, "The universe is powerful." Did you enjoy that? It's part of the show, but it was a great question by the reporter. He indicated he liked the question, but when Ron Killing's son is like, "Stop the cap," that's a little bit weird. But in the end, Ron Killing set the record straight in a lot of tweets, and he said, "Look, the WWE universe got me to where I need to be." He said it on Raw, and we keep it moving. And now it's interesting because now Ron Killings is out there, and he's going to set the record straight. He's going to tell us the truth, cuz.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this because reports are Triple H is not happy that the WWE universe has kind of upset his creative and has this much control. That's the report that's coming out. Do you think we get a bit of a backlash that gets taken out on our truth? Maybe not initially, because I think if it's initial, that's going to look bad. We know that Triple H can be a little bit petty. You've seen it with a lot of the stuff that took place with CM Punk. We'll get into CM Punk here in a few minutes. Do you think that somehow he kind of takes things out on our truth or Ron Killings? Like I said, not this week, not next week, but somewhere down the line.
No, I don't. I think, look, that report could be, the veracity of the truth of that. Look, Triple H is one of the boys. I do think he can separate business from personal. I don't think it ever would be personal. It's one of those deals where you feel like there's value in a character at a certain number, and the character doesn't want to take a pay cut and wants something different. But in the end, I do not think WWE expected the internal backlash, the internal devastation, because releases happen all the time. But I do think that people realize that Triple H is flexible. Nick Khan is flexible. They're pro keeping the apple cart happy, especially with the momentum that they've built. So I don't think that Triple H is so impersonal that if he has a contract dispute with somebody, that just like Vince would, fire people, Ultimate Warrior. I mean, if somebody hit me up and said, "I'm not coming on the show until you pay me 250,000 right now," and I'd be like, "Say that again? Say that to my face? You want 250,000 a check right now, or you're not going out there when you promised to be there?" And someone hits you up, and you still work with them, do videos with them, and have them part of your company and put them in the Hall of Fame. That's somebody literally grabbing your pocket and stealing from you when you didn't earn it. And that's what Ultimate Warrior tried to pull at a SummerSlam. And so look, it's business. If you're a business person, you get into a personal dispute with a lot of the performers. I don't think that Triple H would last long. I don't believe the rumors that came out that Triple H was going to be ousted. I think he's firmly in control of everything going on. People like his work, and he's the perfect representation of everything going on. I just thought that it was an impasse, and at the time of the impasse, they made the decision, and they didn't think that near 25 million people would react and scream and get that mad for a character. But now they understood the loyalty to him, and actually, in the end, best thing that happened for our Truth is to get an opportunity to get a run where he can be himself and at least stop being the foil that he was for over a decade. My God, I mean,
Yeah.
you can't be that. You can't be a comedian. You can be a comedian. You can do fun stuff. But imagine Okada saying bitch for 15 years.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
come on, that would be
Him saying
horrible.
bitch for the last what
Year has been
almost 15 months has been
it's
horrible.
been gross. Exactly. So our Truth probably would have benefited from speaking up for himself to get this done for himself sooner.
Yeah, you're probably right. He probably could have. Again, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens long term with the WWE universe because
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, right? My wife, who turned into a huge wrestling fan, and then some things have turned her off a little bit. When our Truth comes on, she says he's the best part of WWE. Our Truth and Jey Uso are his entrance are the best parts of WWE for her right now. So it'll be interesting to see how the fans react to this different version of our Truth. All that being said, John Cena comes out on Monday night, cuts a promo that kind of encapsulated our Truth's WWE career. Basically said he was a comedic joke. He's a nobody. It was very harsh, very true words. It felt like that was a little bit of maybe some Triple H in that promo. Not really sure. However, John Cena is interrupted by CM Punk, and basically what you get is you get CM Punk saying, "I want you. You pick the night, you pick the match, let's go." And John Cena says, "If you want to fight me, you got to go to Saudi Arabia." And now, if you're a mark like us, you know what that means. CM Punk a long time ago, maybe not a long time ago, a couple years ago, came out and was very hard against WWE and very hard against what they were doing in Saudi Arabia. Basically, told the Miz to go suck a blood money covered dick in a tweet. I don't know if that tweet's been deleted. You might be able to go find it. He last year was written out because he refused to go to Saudi Arabia. Um, he has a very hardline stance. So I feel like this is some very good work by John Cena if you're smart and you know what's going on. Because Cena is basically making him pick. Are you going to save the company? Are you going to save wrestling? Are you going to save all these people? Well, you've got to now bend your morals. You've got to bend your morality, and you have to go to Saudi Arabia and fight me there. What did you think of this? Because again, I feel like this is something that if you're like for kids, this is going to go over their heads. For casual wrestling fans, this is going to go over their heads. For guys like me and you, this is in our wheelhouse. This is something that AEW kind of leans into and expects you to get. A lot of people might not understand what's going on here, but Cena is now basically putting the knife to his nose and saying, if you want this, you've got to make concessions to yourself to come get me. And I feel like it is low key brilliant. But the thing is, I think it is missed by the majority of people because a lot of people don't know what is going on here. WWE hasn't really done a good job of explaining that. So, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's a little too inside, but I think that some of the references that CM Punk was making was pretty good too in the
Yes.
promo that was going down. So look, it's great that Saudi has done enough good work to change the mind of CM Punk to get him to go. So it's funny in that. Look, sometimes business is business, and it's like, hey, we need you here, and he's like, all right, I get it, and in the end, he spoke up. But CM Punk is not like one of those guys that's gonna plant his flag and then just stick with it. Look, the ladies have showed up over there. Things are ever evolving, and maybe a couple extra dollars go his way to show up there. Whatever it is, CM Punk is looking good. He's walking good. His stature is growing, which is still crazy because of how big a star he already is. In the end, people chant his name. They want to see him. This feud with John Cena already is awesome. When it came out on Monday, boom, it was awesome. Everybody loved it. Throughout the week, the buzz is growing, and the promo that he cut was great. You know, the happy ending line was funny with the wink. It's just good business. And for CM Punk, in the end, I love the line that he delivered in that you're starting to sound like me a little bit, talking about taking the belt home and wanting to ruin wrestling. It was a great kind of inside promo where they mixed
That
in.
was
That was
fantastic.
a
I
great
really did
promo.
like that.
It was a great promo. It was just great work. A little bit, like you said, overbooked with everything going on. Then Cody and then Ron Killings. It was a lot of overbooked promos and stuff. But in the end, I just thought that this is good stuff. This is good entertainment. This is what people want to see. Is let them go at it. Let them tell stories. And I do think that there are nuggets for the hardcore fans, but sometimes some of those nuggets don't need to be like if you have to tell everybody everything, then it's not a fun nugget. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, we're gonna in WWE and AEW do this. They throw out a little bit in AEW. What we want them to do is, yes, we know that there's a lot of nuggets that you can share about New Japan and old stuff, but now you gotta first get the mass appeal so that you can grow. For WWE, they're so big that they throw out a little nugget for the marks to go, wait a minute, what's this about? What was that? Was that a reference to this and that? And that's how you build engagement. And that's the name of the game in an entertainment business is not only the product, but do you sprinkle in nuggets that the jock on his podcast can say, "Wait a minute, was that a reference to something that happened a couple of years ago? What was that about?" And there's so many podcasts now that are growing and building brands off of wrestling that they throw out nuggets that they know. Like you can just see Triple H and the writers going, "I bet you the markets are going to hit this one." And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, this will be good. This will be some good shit." And Triple H will laugh and keep it moving. So it's good. It's all good for this feud, and I can't wait to see it. Even though it's in a Saudi show, there's still things that are, human rights that are not the best of the best. But WWE is firmly in bed with the Saudis. They take their money, and at least we get some decent matches because the Saudis are like, we don't want to see B card matches. We want to see A plus, and they're like, oh, CM Punk, John Cena, we like that. Bring that here. And so that's what's going down, and then I can't wait to see it at the end of the month.
And then sticking with John Cena because he has encapsulated a lot
Yeah.
of Raw and SmackDown. He gets attacked twice by R-Truth, twice on SmackDown.
Yep.
So now he's got a match next week. He's going to challenge John Cena. I think that could be a really interesting match. I don't think that's going to be one of those weird gimmick matches. That's going to be a actual legit good match. And then sticking with Cena, seems like he's made a lot of enemies, man. On Friday Night SmackDown, you had Cody Rhodes, you had Randy Orton, you had LA Knight, you had CM Punk, and then obviously R-Truth attacking him twice. At a certain point, you had Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, LA Knight, and CM Punk all in the ring with John Cena, telling him how they want him and how they're going to take him out. So there's a lot of options for John Cena, who is the guy who is claiming that he wants competition. To me, that feels like that is a lot of competition right there. I think in the end, obviously, it'll be Cody versus John Cena for the championship,
Right.
whenever that takes place. But I am interested because all of a sudden, John Cena went from being very uninteresting. He went from being just the championship guy. I thought what they were doing with him was pretty cool because everything's black. It's all very muted. Everything is very toned down instead of colorful and loud in what John Cena has been. But these matches have kind of felt almost copy and paste, a little bit boring. I feel like now opening this up and you've got Cody, you've got Randy, LA Knight, CM Punk. I think all of a sudden this becomes one of the most interesting championship runs, and that's something that that CM Punk said. Here comes CM Punk to make your title run
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like it does get a little bit more interesting with all of these guys now sprinkled in, and then you factor in R-Truth, who wants revenge. What are your thoughts on John Cena's title run leading up to this point, and now kind of where we're at? Does the addition of all of these additional wrestlers make this more interesting?
See, to me, it was always about one thing. I wanted to see a heel John Cena. But again, CM Punk is trying to get him to accept the cheers. And look, I get it. It's great. Seeing all of this, seeing John Cena laid out, seeing the work that he's doing, seeing that he's doing heel promos, which is fine, but he's not getting the nuclear heat. He's not doing enough as a heel. Like, I don't need like five baby faces looking at John Cena. I don't need that. Like, I want to see like NWO style. Like, did they forget that the NWO ran roughshod for like a year? Like, they were throwing Rey Mysterio into trailers. They were just chaotic. They were winning
Like
belts.
picking him up and harpooning him.
Yes, they were adding members. And I just feel like when the heel keeps taking ass whippings, he's not as good as a heel. You know what I mean? I get the joke. I get the rib that they got going on, that he's trying to get people over and stuff. And it's good. It's very good. Just seeing John Cena, it is what it is. It's been great. It's a good run. But in terms of what I think most people wanted to see, most people wanted to see a heel John Cena. And heel John Cena is just saying a bunch of shit that's fine, which is his promo I thought was good on SmackDown, but it tied a lot of things together, which is, hey, look, I'm outsmarting all of you people. But at the same token, I don't feel like he's being a nuclear heat. He's not impacting the baby faces in a way where, yeah, you took the title off of Cody, but in the end, most people believe that, yeah, and it's starting to make sense that to pass the torch, it should be from Cena to Cody Rhodes, and Cody can get his title back that way, which is fine, tried and true way of doing things. But I just wanted to see like true, I want to piss people off, which would have been, I thought, okay, Ron Killings comes out. He's a new character. I think that he should have just laid into our truth a little bit more and kind of take everybody down a notch and just say, "You guys have a voice. Watch this." And then I think John Cena should have been on the heel side of things, where on Monday when I think John Cena should have been the one to cut Ron Killing's hair. Like, I'm our truth. I'm powerful. You know what I mean? And Killings could have referenced his hair, referenced his
I
look.
feel like they dropped the ball with that. Like
Yes,
I feel like there was a monster storyline there, and you could have
yes,
done a lot of things.
yes. John
You
Cena
could have
could
done a like John
exactly.
Cena being the reason why our truth was fired. Our
Yeah,
truth coming back, and
yeah.
then John Cena cutting his hair, and that being the moment where he's like, "The truth has set me free," and he flips the switch there and goes to Ron Killings. Like
Exactly.
you need reasons, and
Yes.
you're not. They're doing a bad job of connecting the dots there.
Exactly. And they could, like I said, nuclear heat. Like MJF has delivered nuclear heat so many times. Dominic Mysterio, where you can't even hear him sometimes even talk but John Cena is kind of because it's a nostalgia tour and you haven't done a good job. People are still cheering him, and you know what I mean. There's still a portion of people that are cheering him. So but that's just, again, that's my thesis for the today's show is they're doing good work, but creatively, I want them to be doing some different stuff to make
They could
it
be
like top
doing
notch.
better
They
for
could be
sure.
doing better, top notch stuff. But it's interesting. It's all intriguing. But again, I just think that I wanted to see John Cena become one of the nastiest, like aim for becoming the nastiest heel in the history of the business. And for him, it's not about the talk because he's a good talker and he can cut into people. But I wanted to see action. Actions are better. Like when he won the title and you have Travis Scott come down, the whole world was pissed. You didn't build off of that. You kind of scaled back a little bit, and I think you need to go more nuclear, which would have been yes, pick on our truth. Like maybe you can do that next week with something that he does to kind of get over on our truth or something. I don't know what the deal is going to be, but I think that they could have done more with the heel type stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like they are for his heel run. It's not been
Heelish
the
enough.
best. Yeah, I feel like they're just missing spots, specifically with our truth. Like you could have did some shit to
Yeah.
our truth, and it would have got you like you would have been the worst heel ever. You would just people would have hated you. You'd have been booed for sure, and they've just not done it. Just not been well done there. Bailey ended up returning to beat Becky Lynch up. I think this is going to kind of spell the Lyra Valkyria Becky Lynch. This kind of gives us that little buffer. Bailey will get involved. I think she'll maybe chase after Becky. I don't know if the title will be involved. I'm not sure where that's going to go. I'm excited to see Bailey back, however. I think the big news coming out of Monday Night Raw though was Jey Uso loses his title after being champion for 51 days. Um, there are reports, and I'm gonna give you a little insight here because me and you talked about this, and we can kind of talk about Jey Uso's run because I think it was again another missed opportunity. But loses his title. Gunther now has the belt. It's reported because this is going to tie into Bill Goldberg's retirement match. So Dave Meltzer specifically wrote about this. He said it was confirmed to us the reason this happened is because Paul Levesque made the call to make Gunther versus Bill Goldberg on January or July 12th, Saturday night's main event, a title match. Likely since it was going on the same day as All in Texas. Gunther versus Goldberg was always going to be the retirement match, and it was always going against All in Texas on NBC with the idea of maximizing that day with the big match not on Netflix but on free network TV. So Gunther versus Goldberg hasn't been confirmed yet. It sounds like that's going to be confirmed this next week on Monday Night Raw. So there's your reasoning. That is why. All that being said, them taking the belt off of Jey Uso, when I looked back at it, I was like, how many times did he actually defend that belt? Who did he actually fight? There was nothing memorable about Jey Uso as the champion. The most memorable thing is his entrance. He would come down, he would sit there, get out of breath. He'd cue it up again, stay out of breath, and then he would try to cut a promo where he was incredibly breathy because he had no breath. That was kind of it. I feel like there was a missed mark here because Jey Uso has some of the highest merch sales. Jey Uso is one of the most fun entrances. Jey Uso, I felt like for a certain moment had it. I felt like the storyline going into WrestleMania derailed some of the momentum. And then I feel like they did nothing with him after he won the championship. I get why they took it off. It's weird because he had what the IC belt you said for 28 days, and then he was a 51-day champion. What are your thoughts on his title run? And do you like the fact that they took it off so you can do this Goldberg retirement match against Gunther?
Ugh, we knew it was coming, but I fully and I knew Rikishi was going to come out and talk about it. He went on a podcast so fast. He was like, fire the people that are writing for Jey Uso." I just feel disappointed that this is what they did. Look, it feels like now it cheapens Jey Uso's run, and I get it. And some people, some very smart people, said that people were more interested in Roman when he lost. They're more interested now in the chase. But you built up this character to be somebody that is the world heavyweight champion, and you didn't even give him 60 days with the title. You then reverted back. What was the purpose? Does anybody really want to see Goldberg? And what does the title have to do with him fighting Gunther? Nothing. Like, there is no tie that needs the title involved. Gunther, I understand, needs to be elevated and believable, but it's similar to the Lyra Valkyria thing. You could have had Jey Uso beat Gunther again. That elevates the world title, but then Gunther just gets pissed off. You know, not getting choked out. He definitely gets fearful of the choke. He tries everything and then ends up simple as this. Gunther's about to win the world heavyweight title. Goldberg's there. Really simple way to tie it in there. Goldberg's right there, and just a simple distraction. Gunther laughs at Goldberg standing there, and then boom, you get a spear from Jey Uso. 1, 2, 3, and now the reason that Gunther's pissed is because Goldberg cost him something that he really loved, something easy to get to the next thing. Like, you have to value Jey Uso. It's disrespectful. It's just disrespectful. Like, Jey Uso deserved listen. We know that your time's ticking in between 130 to 150 days, but Jey Uso got 50 days, like 2 months. It felt like, and there are some runs that are so sad, like the Matt Cardona Intercontinental title run. Some runs that people get that you're just like, oh my god, it's just one day. Seriously. So to this, I was disappointed. It sucks. To me, I for Jey Uso, he's loving life. He's probably printing money with the shirts, and he's got an entrance now that gives him a lot of TV time. But in the end, when you get a title, that's really when you have a chance to prove yourself. And it just feels like he's a cheap pop paper champ. You open the discussion for people to call you that, and I would never want that. I would never want people saying, "Oh man, I was just a gimmick. I was an entrance." Which was started over a year ago. We did that with at SummerSlam. People were into it. It grew over a year, and you cheapen it by taking it and giving it to Gunther. Gunther's a monster. He doesn't need a title. Jey Uso needs a title. That's a guy that's firmly stamped. That's what a world heavyweight title can do for somebody. And you don't let him win matches. Like, come on. He could have had feud with Sami Zayn. He could have had feuds with Seth Rollins. He could have had some amazing type stuff to get him to that. He's only 40, 41 years old. You could get 4 good years out of him by, like, I just think that, remember, because when we started the origination of this podcast, we said, like, it felt like Vince McMahon would just say, we can't have mega stars because if a contract comes up, then we're going to have to pay him $10 million a year. And so are they doing that to Jey Uso? Like, do they not want him to be a guy that makes $6 million a year? Why would you do that? Why would you limit a guy's star? And I think it's cheap when you say, "Oh, the baby face is better chasing." Like, I don't listen. I think Jey Uso could have been the one guy that just had a 2-year world title run, and that's all you needed. Like, I don't need Jey Uso to be a 6-time world heavyweight champion. He was already a 1935-time tag team champion. Just one nice long run where he establishes himself, wins some feuds, tell the story. The work began at WrestleMania. The work on Jey Uso, you got him to that level. The work began there. And then you just said, nope, take it off of him. And I don't care about Goldberg versus Gunther. It's stupid.
Yeah, I don't care either. And here's the thing. I really feel like they did a huge disservice to Jay because throughout his entire run, he beat Gunther, and instead of moving on past him, Gunther was always in the rear view. You knew at some point Gunther was taking the belt off of him. Didn't think it was going to be 51 days into the title run. it was all it was done. His title run was done so poorly. I think
Cheap.
when we
It's
look
cheap.
back on this, we're just gonna be like, this was
It
awful.
was cheap.
Yep, absolutely. We do have King and Queen of the Ring going on. Roxanne Perez and Sami Zayn qualify. No surprise with Sami Zayn qualifying. Kind of makes sense going over Saudi Arabia. He has made peace with the Saudis, and the Syrians had made peace with the Saudis, so he's good. You knew that was going to happen. He is my pick to to get to the finals at least, if not win the whole damn thing. Also, Jade Cargill ends up winning. Did you see the bump that Jade Cargill took from Nia Jax, where she got thrown over the desk into Wade Barrett, and like Wade Barrett had to kind of save her, and then Nia Jax flips her off on Friday Night SmackDown? Did you see that?
That was craziness, right? Yes.
That
SmackDown
that
was
was
awesome this week.
nuts.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Then you have Alexa Bliss qualifying. There's a little bit of friction between her and Charlotte. I think that's fantastic. Randy Orton and Cody both qualify, which kind of made sense when you looked at those lineups. You have any issues with anybody who's qualified thus far? We've got two more spots left open for the women's and for the men's, both taking place this upcoming week on Monday Night Raw.
Lovely. Nope. For the spirit in which this tournament's intended, I like the participants. All of them.
All right, fantastic. Anything else from WWE before we get into some AEW?
Good week of wrestling for WWE. A lot of intrigue. I thought it was a good week for the programming. I hope the payoff is worthwhile because some of the builds could have been better.
Absolutely. I agree with you 110%. All right, AEW. I think we're getting some incredible storytelling with Hangman Page, Swerve, and Will Ospreay. We open up AEW with Hangman kind of walking through a parking lot, Christopher Daniels kind of in tow, talking to him like, you need to make peace with guys in the locker room because you need people to watch your back. You've got John Moxley kind of incognito, kind of peels the corner. Next thing you know, you've got all of the goons kind of chasing after Hangman Page at a very slow pace. This then kicks off into a match, which was a hell of a match between Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. It goes 30 minutes. It's a time limit draw. It was absolutely fantastic. Only to have the Death Riders come down and to have the Young Bucks come down. They lock up Swerve Strickland in the corner of the ring post. Will Ospreay's been beaten. He's bloody. He was bleeding out of his nose. There was a thought that he had possibly a broken nose in this match. Only for the Young Bucks to pull out the shoe that Swerve had kicked them with at the last pay-per-view that had the tacks in it. They were lining him up to do this. Will Ospreay jumps in front of it, takes the bullet, and is completely knocked out cold. I thought they did a fantastic job with this. You could see the remorse, and you could see Swerve really come around here. Now, later on in the night, there's a lot going on here. Later on in the night, this is really good storytelling. Later on, earlier in the night, later on. I don't remember. It was earlier or later, whatever. There was a point where Hangman's in the back, and you've got the Young Bucks basically saying, hey, take Swerve out, do this, do that. And then Hangman's like, you guys need to stay out of the way. You guys need to leave Swerve alone. Prince Nana hears this. I think, again, fantastic storytelling here. You've got a whole lot going on. I want to get your thoughts of all of this because there's multiple storylines going on. You've got Hangman having his own story. You've got Swerve and Ospreay having their own story. Now you're mixing the Bucks in with Swerve and his story and how Ospreay's inserted into all of that. All of these things are taking place underneath the umbrella of the Death Riders. You remember a few months ago when we were hating on the Death Riders and how it was an absolute shit story and how everything was absolutely horrible? Well, this is all now tying in, and it is getting really, really freaking good. I thought they did an immaculate job with all of this because there's so much going on. And yes, you had a 4-hour program to tell this story, but they are doing a fantastic job with this segment, with these guys, with these 3 specific guys who are baby faces, and then you've got all these heels. They are doing a fantastic job. I absolutely love it. What are your thoughts on this Hangman,
Yeah.
Swerve, Ospreay, Young Bucks, Death Rider storyline?
Great work. Yeah, no, it's one of those deals where AW heard that, okay, you got to tell good stories. And now you know they heard it because they're saying, whoa, what a story here. You know, you're hearing the word story quite a bit across the internet landscape with AEW, which is good. And that's something that's intriguing. Now you got to build the mid card up. And for me, I'm not watching AEW 4 hours. So what I've been doing is with Dynamite, I split it up. I think AEW is great an hour at a time. Like once you get over that hour mark, I think it just one of those deals for me where it's like, okay, I can compartmentalize. Okay, I see a match here, I can skip over it, or I can watch it in an hour time. But I'm not giving 4 hours to anything at any point in time. At this point in time, there's so many clips that you can get to as well. But in the end, I think that the Death Riders now are built up to the point where you hate them so much you want to see someone take the title off of them, and they're interweaving feuds with the Young Bucks and everything going on with Swerve and Hangman. And I think that I love the fact that John Moxley, pinned down Hangman Page and said, "Here, I want to have a conversation with you." I think it's great. I think that this is what you need to do to build it up so that Hangman's going to be the guy. I would have liked it to have been Osprey, but you have time for that as well. Osprey just delivers matches. Swerve delivers matches. This is what you need to do, which is, what we said 6 months ago. All these big stars, and you're not doing jack shit with them. Okada working with Don Callis, I thought was great. I mean, I thought the blood segment was a little bit like you have to protect the business. It looked too fake, but in the end, it was still cool because Okada working with Don Callis. What was it, Don Callis all along? What was it? It was perfect. I thought that you generated heat. I think that Okada as a heel works really, really well, and Don Callis is a great world class manager. So I thought everything that's been built up over Dynamite at the top end has been great. Now I just need the women to get picked up. Besides Tony Storm, which they are, they're building out there. It seems like they're building momentum across a lot of different stuff. And the mid card, if you're going to call it the Hurt Syndicate and MJF, that's good too. Now you just need to build up the tag teams, the trios. You just got to build up a little bit more across the bottom of the cards. But so far so good. But please, no more 4 hour stuff. Like just bet like you don't need to if you don't need if you're getting bumped by the NBA or you got stuff going on that takes you off the air, less is more. Let us miss you a little bit. Oh, we're not going to be on the air this week. No problem. Or digital only. Something fun. Do not, do not, do not run 4 hour shows. No, it's just crazy for your fan base.
Yeah, it puts you in a tough spot, man, because it is a lot to watch. It's a lot to get through. And this is something that I try to explain to the wife. So when you watch programming and then you've got to break it up, there
Yeah.
tends to be like a motif or there tends to be a theme that kind of runs through the show, and you get a better feel for that when you watch it as a whole, not when you've got to
Right.
fast forward, not when you've got to stop and you got to come back. 4 hour programming is really, really tough to get through.
Oh my God.
As just busy adults, like just regular people, man, it's hard to make that time to watch a 4 hour program. It is incredibly tough. I do think that they did the best that they could do working around the TNT and the TBS schedules for the playoffs. I get it. I get that there's a lot going on there. But all that being said, thank God the 4 hour run times are over for now, at least. We'll see what happens next year.
And then, cause
Uh,
what needs to happen is WWE. What they do is they got their own guys to hype them up. Sam Roberts is one of the best in the world. He does his own show. Renee does a good job, but it's not good. Like they need a wrestling mark. They need a somebody that they can get in the wrestling world with a big name. Whether it be, I think they should just get Coach, get Jonathan Coachman to just pay him some money and hype up your brand. Like the guy put a podcast that he started with Vince Russo. It's really good, cuz just a quick review. It's really good. Like they have inside knowledge. They give bold takes. They give crazy takes. Vince Russo's like, I hate wrestling, but here's why I want to talk about it. It's a great show. They've already gotten themselves on Sirius XM and the DAZN. They've already pumped it up. Get somebody with influence. Let them talk about AEW and explain things. Like tell people that's how you grow. Like, hey, this is why John Moxley did this. This is what this reference is. Like, talk about it so that people can understand what they're watching. Because again, you cannot just run your business off of the 600,000 hardcore die-hard fans that you got. You have the ability to grow. There's something there. There is momentum growing, but I think you need like a mark to tell the story. Like tell the story of Okada and Omega. Watch it with somebody. Like, oh, let's watch this and let's see what you got to hype it up more outside of the ring. And I just don't think they do a good enough job. WWE is killing them in digital talk and digital work and podcasts. Like there's some guys that have big followings that just simply talk about WWE and they ignore AEW because they're not. They just got to do a little bit more on the outside too to draw more attention. Like this could be big. This could be very big with AEW if they with the talent that they have, they should have triple the ratings. Triple.
I agree with you, 110%. You kind of talked about the blood with Kenny Omega and
Ugh.
Okada and the spitting up of that. I want to get your thoughts. We now have confirmation AEW will unify the Continental and the International Championship. I think this is a great call. I think they've done a fantastic job to try to pare down some of these belts here with this specific situation. The thing is, they want this belt to be more of a main event belt, more along the lines of the AEW championship and not a mid card belt like the other two belts were viewed. I don't know if that's going to work. You tend to have the one belt. You have to remember, wrestling fans' brains are programmed. You have your champion, and then you've got kind of everybody else. I don't know if this is going to work the way they want it to work, where you now have two main championships. Like for WWE, it works because you have two different programs, and you for a long time you separated those programs. So like unless you're separating these championships and one will be on Collision and one will be on Dynamite, that's kind of the only way I feel like this would work.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on them combining these titles into one and then it being elevated to what they want to be a main event championship? They want it to be on par with the
Yeah.
AEW championship.
Sure. I think the first person to get it, Okada or Omega, will be just fine to have it. They got to have a nice long run, separate it out, have good feuds, no problem. But again, you just want it to be what the Intercontinental title really represents, which is, hey, a star, somebody in the making that's also in the main event mix. You can do that, keeping it off of, and also making it special. So it has a chance. I wouldn't call it. Listen, you can say that, but yes, every title in that realm should be important. And I think this with Okada or Omega, whoever has it, nice long runs, good matches. The workman's belt, like the world heavyweight title and the main event title and WWE, all that kind of fun stuff. That's fine. It's just another version that they want it to be of the world title. But I just would call it. I like the whatever the title they're calling it now. I think it'll have a chance, but it won't be considered a main event title. You have a world champion, and you just need to have a title that indicates a good wrestler that tells a good story. And what Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels did to the Intercontinental title with the great matches, Mr. Perfect. All the greats had the IC belt, and you just want it to be represent good work and a step up maybe to the next level.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I don't think what they want it to be is going to
Right.
work that way.
Right.
Um, I don't know. I have some concerns, but I do
Correct.
like the fact that we're paring belts down. Like
Yes,
AEW
pare
has
it
way
down.
too many championships.
Yes.
Like way too many championships. So, the other thing that I kind of took note of this week in AEW, MJF's ring gear.
Yeah.
It looks just like MVP's
It's
ring
good.
gear.
It's very good.
I thought
Smart.
it was a nice tip of the cap.
Very-
What did you think of
It was
MJF's
funny.
ring gear?
It was good. Exactly. We laugh. It had the intended consequence, and it's just funny to see. MJF in this group has made it sparkling and very fun. It's elevated what was already a cool brand with the Hurt Syndicate, and I can't wait to see what the story evolves into.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be a good time. Was there anything else from AEW that stuck out to you? We had quite a few women's matches this
Yep.
week, which was good.
Yeah.
You had Ty J get
Yep.
a win over Megan Bain and Penelope Ford.
Yep.
You had Tekla get another W and get a
Yes.
win. She looked great. So there was a lot going on. I still feel like these two 2-hour blocks
Ugh.
felt disjointed from
Yeah.
each other.
For sure.
Um,
For real.
but overall, I think this was a little bit of a better week than last week.
Absolutely. And I just think that the women are doing great. Stock rising for Willow Nightingale. Keep it going. Tony Storm is a megastar. Mercedes Monet is very intriguing. So the women are starting to pick up the pace and understanding the point is, hey, get yourself over, get yourself opportunities to have some attention. And you can potentially get on par to get more show of the week. But for me, I felt like SmackDown was the show of the week. Whenever you have CM Punk and John Cena in the same ring, and then you involve Cody Rhodes in a great match. Oh, all was great to me on SmackDown. Do you agree before we hit news and notes?
Yep, I agree 110%.
Show of the week?
News and notes.
Show of the week was SmackDown. Hit me with this week's professional wrestling news and notes. What made your list?
All right, so Mariah May has a new name in WWE.
Mm.
May's new name is officially Blake Monroe. The name appears to be a reference to her niece, whose name is Blake, and Marilyn Monroe. Her real name is Mariah May Mead. hence WWE wanting to use a name the company can trademark, as trademarking a real name is more complicated. Monroe is still using the nickname The Glamour, which she used in AEW throughout her run with the company, which ended with her losing in the Hollywood ending Women's World Championship match to Timeless Tony Storm at Revolution's pay-per-view early February. I want to get your thoughts on the name. I know you and I have talked, and you and I both think it is
Yeah.
it is a little bit silly. But tell me how you're feeling,
Yeah.
because it's tough.
Yeah, real fast. It was great because I put out right away under WWE's name. I'm like, ooh, I don't like this name. And then all the marks were like, it's a reference to her niece. Well, it's great. I
I
don't
don't
want.
give a shit.
I don't. Yeah, exactly. I mean, okay, you just said her real name, Madeline Mead. That difficult? Mariah Mead. All you MM. You had to at least start with that. Oh, come on. Um, uh, Mariah Monroe. Something with the
Yes.
Blair. Something. I just thought Blake
Yeah.
does not deliver well to your first reaction. My first thought was wonderful, wonderful vignette, like we always talk about, and then it ends with Blake, and then you're just like, ew. That's just
Bro,
your
you could have flipped it. It could have been Monroe Blake, and I
Monroe.
feel like that's got a little bit
Right.
more punch.
You have to use Mariah. Come on, Mariah Monroe, Mariah Mead. You could have did so many. Blake, you just went so far different. She does not like that. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. I don't like the name. I think the majority of fans were like, ugh, you wasted. It, it it went right into the JC Mateo Blake Monroe nonsense. That's where it went into. It went into the JC Mateo Hall of Fame of bad names.
Yeah, I don't like it. I feel like they need to come up with a new something new to configure names, because this was not good. This,
Boo.
you know, for where she came from and for what she was in AEW, is starting off a little bit rough here in NXT. So we'll see what happens. But not both of us thumbs down on the name. Not good. All right. Eddie Kingston provided an injury update. Last year's New Japan Strong resurgence on May 11th, 2024 was the last time fans got to see the former AEW Continental Champion compete inside a ring, with the Mad King suffering a torn ACL and meniscus, as well as a broken tibia during a match with Gabe Kidd. With Kingston's absence crossing the 1 year mark, he took to Instagram to provide an update on his rehabilitation, sharing a video of himself performing some leg extensions while it's visibly in a great deal of pain. Kingston was open about the unpleasantness of the rehab process, and in his caption on the post, writing, "I tried to find some motivational quote, but let's be real, shit sucked, and I hate doing it, but it has to be done." While reports from late 2024 have suggested that June 2025 could be his return window for Kingston, the former ROH World Champion stated, "I'm not there," when discussing his recovery prior to last month's AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view. Sticking with injury updates, Zoe Stark suffered a significant knee injury during the match against Rhea Ripley and Kairi Sane on May 19th Raw episode, which resulted in her being removed from the match. Uh, Stark has now shared a video confirming that she underwent surgery with Rothman Orthopedics in Orlando 8 days after suffering the ACL, MCL, and meniscus injury. In the video, Stark reveals that her surgery was scheduled to take place over 2 hours, but actually took 3.5 hours to complete. An announcement has been teased for June 16th, with the WWE star video stating, "What's next for Zoe Stark?" Question mark. Tune in June 16th. Stark captioned the video, this post on Twitter. The body achieves what the mind believes. Hashtag WWE, hashtag WWE Raw, hashtag Raw on Netflix. There is currently no timetable for Stark's return to the ring, but we'll provide an update on Stark's upcoming announcements when we get that. And more injury news. On Wednesday's AEW programming, Commander, Mike Bailey, and Kevin Knight were supposed to take on the Hurt Syndicate. Well, the match did not go as advertised, as Commander was replaced by CMLL's Mascar Dorado. The reason for Commander's replacement in the match was due to a legit injury. According to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, he reported that Commander suffered an injury on Sunday night when he slipped off the ropes while doing a top rope walk spot. Commander's injury is set to keep him out of action for the Fantastic Mania show in Arena, Mexico on June 20th. And how about some contract news regarding former tag champs? In AEW, it's being reported that the former tag champs' private parties contracts are due very soon, with Meltzer writing private parties deals are up very soon. Both Zay and Quinn have been with AEW since the company's inception in 2019, being featured at some of their earliest events, including the first Fighter Fest and All Out, as well as the first episode of AEW Dark and second ever Dynamite. 8 months ago, Private Party finally captured the AEW World Tag Championships after 5 years of trying, dethroning the longtime rivals, the Young Bucks, at AEW's Dynamite Fright Night on October 30th of 2024, only to lose them less than 3 months later to the Hurt Syndicate. Now, in a head-scratching contract news, former WWE Tag Champ Omos has resigned with WWE. Omos revealed that he has signed a new contract with WWE that will keep him with the company for years to come. Things are going very well. Can't complain. I'm really excited about what's to come, he said. I've been training really hard and working on some new things, and I think it's going to be a really fun ride ahead, especially because I just signed a renewal with WWE and will be there for years to come. After only wrestling 2 televised matches in 2024, Omos made the surprising move to Pro Wrestling Noah at the beginning of 2025, competing in 7 matches in total in January, including capturing the GHC Tag Title Championships along with Jack Morris in his debut match at Noah's New Year's 2025. Word is, we are patiently waiting to make his return to television. Now, if you were to get rid of one guy, Omos or R-Truth, I would take almost every day of the week. I'm not sure what he brings, whereas R-Truth is fantastic. I'm surprised that they re-signed him, or that there's news of him being re-signed, but it is what it is. And that's going to do it for this week's news and notes, my brother.
Sources close to Omos are surprised that he was. They still wanted him. They're like, they still know us. Okay, Omos is like, all right, I'll take a check. I'll keep training. All right, no doubt about it. Can I get the deal where I can work 1 match a year? Like, do I get to wrestle or just do podcasts? Or okay, he's like, his representatives were like, you're talking about this Omos, the 7-foot tall guy. Maybe Omos and R-Truth should work together. Maybe that'd be something interesting where you. Ron Killings can speak the truth and bring Omos back and destroy John Cena. That would be interesting to kind of pair up these 2 guys. And I think R-Truth walking to the ring with Omos would be kind of freaky. It'd be pretty cool. But we'll see what
pretty cool.
what kind of creative they give for Omos, for a guy who can't wrestle and can't talk and is not on TV. He parlayed that into a deal. That's probably the biggest shock in the history. We got to find out the secret to getting a deal with WWE where you don't work, you don't talk, you don't do anything. You're not on TV, you train. Hey, if they like you, then that's just one of those deals where I think the secret is be 7'3" and 600 pounds, and you might have a chance to get some eyes on you, and they never leave, even if they don't like you and they don't use you. Very interesting idea where Omos is like, I'll take the check, but can I at least get like 3 TV matches in a year, or do I get like 10 matches total in the 5 years? Like, how many matches do I get? He's probably like, all right, you paid me, so we'll see how it shakes out. But the first run was awful. He parlayed it into a second run, so we'll see how that plays out. Make sure you follow Adam on Twitter at AdamRSJROZ. Follow us at Detroit Podcast. Feel free, hit us up. If you like our takes, don't like our takes, thank you for the commentary. We love and respect the fact that you're willing to share what you think. And in the world of wrestling, it's always fun as we peek into the WWE and tag Triple H and let our feelings be known openly regarding names, angles, and things like that. It's a fun opportunity to interact with the IWC. I can't wait, cuz, next week for the next edition of the Doc and Jock Wrestling Podcast.